Welcome to this week's Hall of Trials videos for Incomplete Fastus. This week I'm going to try something a little bit different. The conditions of this video make it difficult for me to push a top 10 score, so instead I'm going to go for a more relatable gear video on how to get SSS Plus without re-gearing your entire team. Now, for the rules for Incomplete Fastus this time around is you can't use mages and extra turns are turned off. Also, thieves will do an extra S1 attack for every debuff that Fastus has on them during the break phase, up to 2 maximum. So you want to use thieves so you can get that extra S1 proc, and also fire units get an extra 40% damage during the break phase, so you want to stick with fire thieves. Unfortunately, there are not very many fire thieves. You're limited to Kayron, Haste, and Surin really as your big damage dealers. Maybe you could build Winter for this as well. My Haste isn't built, so I went with Surin. I think Haste might actually be better. I decided to go with a double healer for this route. I tried it with a single healer, but without re-gearing my team, I just didn't have the chops to stay in the game. I kept dying off. So I'm bringing Mascot Hazel as my attack buffer and Achates as a powerhouse healer, and I'm going to just use Surin and Kayron for my damage units. Now, I was able to proc some really nice scores replacing Hazel or Achates with Haste, but I just couldn't make it stable enough to make a worthy video out of. So here's how I geared the units. First, Achates I put in the bottom slot so that 2 units could benefit from her imprint. I've got a lot of effect resistance on her. It is not required. You want to keep her around 200 speed. Doctor's Bag is very, very good in this fight. Really helps. You don't have to have a plus 31. In fact, it doesn't have to be leveled at all for it to function in this fight. Achates, you probably should shift her to the EE that boosts her healing a little bit, but I'm a cheapskate, so I left her normal S3 EE on. Mascot Hazel, in a perfect world, you put Doctor's Bag on her as well, or at least a healing artifact, but I needed Midnight Bloom because my Surin only has 85% crit chance, so I put Midnight Bloom on there to make up for a lack of crit chance. Other than that, you want her to be slow. Like, 170 is a good speed, I think. You don't want her to be so fast that she laps and takes extra turns during the break phase, because that just wastes your chance to attack with the thieves. Now, speaking of the thieves, first is my Kayron. He's my bigger damage dealer. This is my normal Kayron. This is what I run in RTA. You don't need the effect resistance at all. In fact, a little bit of extra speed would probably be good on him. I've got him on the standard S1 EE. You definitely want that EE up for extra damage on his S1 swipes. And Dust Devil is the best artifact for this. If you don't have a Dust Devil, put him on the Hall of Trials artifact for extra damage. Now, Fire Surin, same situation, also on Dust Devil for the extra attack. Dust Devil can only proc once, but it procs every time she does an S1. So in that break phase where they can do up to 3 S1s, you can get a 4th attack because of Dust Devil, and that's worth way more than the damage artifacts. If you don't have an extra Dust Devil, use Symbol of Unity. I know most people don't have 2 of these. That's fine. You can run Hall of Trial Artifact on one and Dust Devil on the other, mix and match. RNL also does not work because extra turns are turned off, and RNL is technically an extra turn. Now, at the start of the fight, Fastus will do his ultimate and put buff block on everybody. I got a nice little dual attack. That's a great way to start. Now, because I have Doctor's Bag, I don't need to S3. I can just S2, and Doctor's Bag will get rid of those buff blocks for me. So instead of using the S3, I'll use the S2. That lets me save the S3 to heal later. And Doctor's Bag took off the buff blocks. Now with Surin, you want to save that S2. You want to use that S2 right before you push phase, because that S2 will put a whole bunch of debuffs on Fastus, and that will let you do your extra attacks. If you're running Haste, put Haste on his EE, that gives him extra bleeds on his S1, and then use his S2 skill right before you push phase, and that will give you the 2 debuffs that you need. Kayron also has a blind on his S1, and Hazel has a heal block on her S1, so those can be extra sources of debuffs. Oh, and Achates has attack break on her S1. Now my Surin has no Mola in her S1 skill. If she did, I would score a lot higher on this. So this is pretty perfect. You want to get Fastus down where he is ready to push phase, and you can have Surin do her S2. That puts a stack of debuffs on him so that 2 of them survive into the break phase. Now I can use Hazel to get an attack buff on everybody, and since my team is all fire, I can get greater attack buff on Kayron. Now there was the Dust Devil proc, so that means I'll get 4 hits. 1 hit for each debuff, up to a maximum of 2, so I get my 3 normal hits, and the 4th is the Dust Devil proc. Dust Devil has a 30% chance to proc, and with 3 chances to proc each attack, it's pretty high chance you'll get it to pop off. So there's 1, 2... I say high chance, and right there is Dust Devil not proccing 3 times in a row. I'll just S1 for the chance for dual attacks because nobody's hurt. I don't need to heal anybody, so I can save all those skills, hope for dual attacks. I didn't get any. Here's another Dust Devil proc on Kayron. That's fantastic because he's my highest damage dealer with that greater attack buff. And Surin will get 1 more attack off. And I got the Dust Devil early, so that'll get me all 4 hits. There's 2, and there is 3. And there is hit number 4, and that pushes phase. Oh, I got 1 more attack, so maybe I'll get a dual attack this time. I got a dual attack, but it was with Achates. That's disappointing. Okay, so 2 million points is a really, really high score to exit stage 1. I think if you exit with 1.5 million or better, you'll easily push... I keep saying Dagger Sakar, but there is no Dagger Sakar here. You're going to push triple S plus scores. So it's early in the fight, so I'm going to go ahead and use the S2 because it does a lot of damage. I'm going to make sure that her S2 is ready when we push phase, but we're pretty far from that. Now when Fastus does his next attack, it puts heal block on everybody, but that's the beauty of having Mascot Hazel on the team. I can save this S3 for when I'm hurt, and Mascot Hazel's S3 will cleanse the heal blocks off and give the attack buffs to everybody.
I'll fight with all my strength. Everyone, I'll save you.
Just gonna S2 myself for a little bit of extra health onto myself, and the immortality shell's nice because maybe the ads hit her instead of anyone else. Now Kayron does have very, very low health, but I rolled the dice and put him in the front, hoping that his counter set would proc. If you don't have your Kayron on counter set, well, you should, but if you don't, then, you know, if you're running him Rage set or Destruction for higher damage, then maybe don't run him up front. Maybe put one of your healers up front. So Fastus is getting ready to do his ultimate, so I'm going to save the S3.
You'll help me, right?
And I'm just going to S1 here. I'm going to hit one of the eyeball things because whoever you hit gets CR pushed, and I don't want to push Fastus up more than I have to. So here's the big ultimate attack. Strips everybody, ignores effect resistance. Got my counter off. No reason to use the S3 because I have buff block on, so I'll just S1. Again, I'm going to hit the eyeballs. Maybe I'll kill 1 or 2 of those. I don't want to push Fastus up until I've healed some of these debuffs and damage off of me. My Surin is pretty close to death, so I wanted to make sure that Achates got a chance to S3 and cleanse and heal. Now he'll do his secondary attack, which will put the buff or the heal block on everybody. Got a nice, lovely Dust Devil counterattack there. And Mascot Hazel is ready right behind him with her S3, which will get rid of the heal block and attack buff everybody. I'm going to use the S3 now because I have greater attack buff. Using the S3 procs attack buff, which stacks, so my greater attack buff will stay at two turns left.
Goddess! I only do my best.
He's got a couple bleeds. The S3 extends debuffs, but also does damage proportional to the number of bleeds, so that hits pretty freaking hard, so I'm going to use that. Oh, man. Okay, Surin's really close to death, so I'll use this S2 to heal her up.
Come on. I'll fight with all my strength.
And I'm going to just hit the eyeballs now, because I want to push phase with Surin's S2. I don't want to do it into that effect resistance buff that he stole. So I'm just going to stall for a little bit of time so that I can use Surin's S2 skill. Why are you hitting Surin so much? Okay, so that's... I survived that. So I'll probably push phase. It didn't. Okay, well this is perfect. Yeah, this is absolutely perfect. So Surin can push phase with her S2. That'll stack enough debuffs on Fastus that I will be able to have 2 debuffs inside of the stage. And there we go. I've got all the debuffs I need for my maximum number of attacks. S1ing with Achates does so little damage. I'm going to take this time to heal up a little bit while my thieves dish out their S1 damage. You only ever want to use your S1s inside a break phase with your thieves, because that's what gets you the multiple hits. S2 and S3 skills will not proc the multi-hits. And with Dust Devil, that's 4 hits. And now I can reapply greater attack buff to Kayron and regular attack buff to Surin. I'm going to cycle the S3 skill by S2ing myself.
I'll fight with all my strength.
There's 1 hit, 2 hits, and Dust Devil proc, so I'll get my 4th hit. 3 hits, and then the Dust Devil hit.
For the goddess.
I'm going to save the S3 on her because I want the healing outside of this fight and the cleansing for when we go into the final phase. Nice thing about this team is with the double healer, it's stable enough that you should be able to push all the way to the end. There's 1, 2, there's the Dust Devil proc, so I'll get all 4 hits. Okay, 4 million, we're at triple S. We're only 500k, I believe, away from triple S plus. Oh, nice, got a dual attack. Okay, right up against it, 25k away, so 1 or 2 more hits and we're there. Okay, so I'm going to use the S2 just to heal up Surin, who's pretty hurt. And I'll go ahead and hit Fastus because he's way back. Gives Achates plenty of time to use her S3 and heal off the debuffs and top everyone off. That was a doctor's bag proc on that round. Got the Dust Devil dual attack. Ready to use the S3 on Hazel to remove the heal block and put attack buff on everybody.
On my way.
And now I can start laying down some debuffs. There's no reason to hold back on the debuffs now. I love the counterattacks. Gonna S2 myself so I can cycle the healing around because Fastus's ultimate is already coming up. I was going to use the S3 here, but I'm only 2 turns away from Fastus doing his ultimate, so I'm just going to stick with the S1 because I was hoping for the Dust Devil proc, which will be more damage than just the S3, and it also hits the eyeball things up front. And I got another counter, and that kills the eyeballs. It's only 1 bleed, but I still think it'll be more damage than her S1, so I'll use her S3 skill. The more bleeds you have, the harder this hits. Okay, so Fastus is ready to do his ultimate. I'm going to top off Kayron here. And I'm going to save this so that I can heal after he does his ultimate.
I only do my best.
May despair fall.
Buff block on everybody. I'm just going to hit an eyeball so that I don't push Fastus up. Yeah, again, I'm going to just keep hitting these eyeballs so I don't push Fastus. And now I can use Achates to cleanse the buff block and heal everybody up.
I'll fight with all my strength.
May as well use this. There's an attack break in it. It'll make this attack hit less hard. And there is the heal block just in time for S3. Oh, so that's a misclick. I meant to use her S3 there to get rid of the heal block and to give everybody an attack buff, but I used the S2 instead. That was a big goof, so don't do that. Hopefully I can recover from it. There's a counter. And I'm right on the edge of no health, too. Okay, that triggered my immortality, so I'm on borrowed time with Kayron. So now I'll use the S3. There's not really a heal to it, per se, but... I mean, it heals one unit, but it didn't really do anything for Kayron, but Achates comes around with her S3 just in time. Now I'm where I should have been a couple rounds ago with my health up and attack up. No reason to use the S3 yet, I'll just S1. No reason to use the S3 here, I'll just S1 and add. I was tempted to S2 Kayron, but I'm going to stick with the plan and just S2 myself. And you can use the S2 on Hazel for Kayron. There we go. Now we're stabilized. No reason to S3 because I've got buff block up, so I'll just S1. We'll definitely S2 here and stack a whole bunch of debuffs. The attack down is the most important one. S3 for cleanse and heal. Achates and Hazel have great synergy in this fight. Makes it really hard to die, even though I tried really hard to die earlier. And that should be that. I'll S2, and with 2 bleeds, this will definitely kill with her S3 skill. So we passed 4.5 million a while ago, so even if you don't complete, you should still hit your SSS plus score. 5.7 million using a level 50 healer, using units who aren't built for damage, who aren't built for PvE. They're just my standard RTA builds on 2 of those units, and my Achates, who's kind of on poverty gear. I still got the top 1%, and, you know, the top 10 is like in the 7.5 to 8 million range. I imagine if I molded all of my skills up and put Rage Set on people, that I could probably climb into those scores. But there's no Dagger Sakar threshold, so SSS Plus is all we need. I hope this video helps you out this week, and I hope you enjoy the fact that you can do it without really re-gearing. All you need to do is change some artifacts around. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section, and as always, like and subscribe. Have a good one.